Whatever you do, when you're setting goals and when you're looking at the trajectory of your life, get viable and real feedback from someone with no agenda to help you understand what it's actually going to take and what it's really going to look like to get to your goal. Welcome back to the Kelly Roach Show. I'm so excited that you decided to give me the gift of your earbuds today. And I'm excited to talk a little bit about unpacking expectations for exponential peace, profits, and power in your business. Because one of the things that is so interesting about the world of business and about internet marketing and kind of about how we develop our perspective on anything is that most of what we see and hear about what's possible is an outside-in approach, meaning we heard about it from a marketing, advertisement, or we heard about a success story that someone's using to sell their products or their programming, or we hear this, great testimony at the end of a big success. But one of the things that I learned that is the most important thing that can give you peace on the journey of growing your profits is gaining perspective around what it really takes to achieve the outcome that you desire. And I think this is a topic that's not talked about enough. And I think it's a really widely misunderstood topic because of, like I said, the way that we typically are introduced to something is not an inside out perspective. It's not a bottom up perspective where we understand the context and the journey to get to the outcome. Many times we hear the outcome and then we're like told that this is the way that you're going to get the outcome, right? So this is a process that I would recommend that you use anytime you are setting a big goal, you want to achieve something at the next level. You need to find someone that is not biased, that is not trying to sell you something, that is not in a specific agenda as it relates to the thing that you want to accomplish, and find a way to gain perspective or understanding of what it really took to accomplish the thing at hand. Now, you might say, Kelly, how would I ever access someone that is accomplishing this thing that I want to? How would I ever, gain that inside track on someone that is, where I want to be, that doesn't have an agenda, right? And one of the best ways to do that is interviewing people on podcasts. And, don't forget that there are many people that are, outside of the internet marketing world that you can tap into for conversations and, advisement in a singular fashion that you can utilize as a way to gain more or clearer or better perspectives on what it is that you're trying to learn about, right? And it's very important to understand that human nature in most instances is that the person that you're interacting with or that you're listening to has an agenda. And that doesn't mean that someone's a bad person. That doesn't mean that that person is doing something wrong. That means that people by nature are going to act in alignment with their own best interests, right? So I'll give an example, and I'm not going to use names, but I'm going to give a really specific example. There is someone that is a really, really big name in the internet marketing world that everyone is like having their moment with right now. It's really funny. I've seen this come and go so many times over my time. So every time I'm just like, okay, we're in that moment right now. That's cool. That will come and go. I've seen it so many times. But we're in our moment right now with this person. And I remember this person, having a big launch and making like a very, very, very big thing about how they were giving all of these things away for free. And it was like a whole big conversation in the online world. And I noticed and I predicted what this person was going to do next. I noticed that this person was saying, I'm giving everything away for free. And they were saying, I don't have an agenda. And they were saying, there's nothing for sale. And yet I watched their behavior and I was like, this person is absolutely about to make a big announcement about something related to something that's for sale. And it may not be in this exact direct format of what this context of this conversation is, but I absolutely knew. I'm like, I have been in this game for so long. I know exactly where this is going. I could watch step by step the difference between what the person was saying and how the person was positioning the why behind what they were doing. And then what was happening, and I watched the breadcrumbs, and then I saw the announcement, and I was like, okay, I know exactly what that person was doing. Now, that's fine, right? Everyone has a right to take action and to, be doing things in their own best interest. I'm not saying this person's a bad person for what they did or that they were unethical or wrong. They were acting in their own interests, and they were setting up a big investment that they had made that they wanted to drive traffic to. And they were using their original brand, their personal brand, to then drive traffic and drive sales for another brand that they had invested in, that they had put a lot of money behind. And there was a clear set of, stair step that happened from point A to point B. Now, again, nothing wrong with that. However, it's very important to understand the more that you understand that almost every human being that you interact with in any instance, any situation, any circumstance has an agenda, not to hurt you, not because they're a bad person, not because they're unethical, not because they're doing something wrong, but because that's human nature. The more that you understand that you need to take everything with a grain of salt, that you need to understand that there's hidden context to absolutely everything. You have to understand that there's more to the story than what meets the eye. And that usually when you see an outcome that someone's achieving, it's many times been oversimplified in many ways to make it seem like there is a fast and simple and easy solution to achieving that outcome, when in many instances that's completely not the case. Okay, so this is the problem, and I feel like I'm always the bearer of bad news, because I feel like I'm always the person coming in and like shooting from the hip and giving the straight shot of like, it's not what you think it is. And I'm always the one that's like, kind of like, I feel like the bearer of bad news, but I feel like my responsibility is to help people like wake up, like open your eyes. Because what I see, and I have been talking about this openly, and I'm going to keep talking about this, I see so much burnout, anxiety, depression, and overwhelm in the entrepreneurial space, because so much is misrepresented all the time, that everyone always thinks they're doing it wrong. Everyone always thinks everyone is doing better than they are. Everyone always thinks that the problems that they're having and the challenges that they're facing, that they're the only ones, and that they're incompetent, or, that, they dreamed too big and they're not really capable, or that there's something wrong with them. And that is not the case, right? You're doing better than you think. And most people aren't doing as well as they want to project and want to make you feel, and all of that. And it's really, really, really important that you gain access to advocates and to people in your life that don't have an agenda, that have accomplished a specific thing that you want to, and find a way to gain direct insight into what it actually took to achieve the thing at hand, or what it's really going to take, so that you can make an educated and viable decision about whether or not you want to pursue that goal. And I say this because, again, going back to where I started the episode today, so many people are experiencing such unbearable levels of stress because they sign up for something and they commit to doing something without understanding the burden of responsibility that comes with that decision, or the burden of responsibility that comes with that goal, or what it's going to take to actually like cross that bridge to the other side. And I see this in all realms. I see this with people that give up on advertising all the time, that are like, advertising costs me so much money and it gets me unqualified leads. And I'm like, how much did you spend? $3,000, $5,000. I'm like, you haven't even like dipped your toe in the sand. And not only that, it's not that you're getting unqualified people, it's that you have to segment and optimize. And whenever you're putting something in front of the general public, it's like a very minute percentage of people that are going to be, qualified, especially if it's a niche or high ticket type, offer. That's just one example. I see this with people that want to build big businesses, and do a lot of revenue, but they don't have the capacity to handle the problems and the stress and the people and the team and, the client issues and everything that comes with it. So whatever you do, when you're setting goals and when you're looking at the trajectory of your life, get viable and real feedback from someone with no agenda to help you understand what it's actually going to take and what it's really going to look like to get to your goal. Now, there's different ways that you can do this. I mentioned doing podcast interviews. I think that that's a great way to get inside understanding and feedback from people that you wouldn't be able to get access to otherwise. This is another reason why having a great podcast is such a good tool for you in your tool belt. But definitely, it's another reason why investing with the right people is so important also, because you can invest to get into a coaching program or a mastermind or a mentorship or whatever. There's even these very interesting sites now, which I have not tried, but I probably am going to try. I forget the name. I forget the actual name of the site, but it's where you can sign up to maybe do like an hour of consulting with like a well-known founder or CEO or someone that, accomplished something really specific. And it's a way to go in and get questions answered without signing up for, a big, long container necessarily, but instead to get real insight on a very, specific topic. And, I don't know if all of you know this or not, but my team a couple of years ago, we invested with Gary Vee, and we worked directly with Gary Vee's like top people on our brand growth strategy. And I mean, I can't remember the exact numbers, but I think he has like 15 content creator type staff that are just focused on building his personal brand, probably millions, multi-millions in advertising just, on that Gary Vee brand, which isn't even the main business. Obviously, it's just like an auxiliary. Same goes for most of the other big names in the online space. But you have to be able to bear the stomach, have the stomach for, okay, I'm going to spend $1,000 a month on advertising just to build awareness, just to build a brand, just to get my name in people's earbuds and become known in the landscape, right? I saw a interesting quote, or it was like an informational post one time that I think, and I can't remember the exact specifics of it. It was saying something like, if you're willing to invest like $10 million in exposure, you can make it to, this level of mainstream like awareness and recognition, right? So there's different tiers of like, this is how much you're going to have to invest in order to make it to this level. And I think that for all of us as leaders, and also we are leading others, we're leading our teams, we're leading our market, we're leading our clients, the more that we can get our heads wrapped around the importance of context, the better clients we're going to attract, the more successful team we're going to have, and the more successful clients we're going to have that are going to stay longer and spend more. Because I think that we were cultivated to exist in an environment without context. And that environment without context, which is internet marketing, can be very damaging and deadly, right? It can take you out of business. It can be the thing that makes you want to give up and quit. It can be the reason why you set completely unrealistic goals or set up a plan that is just never going to work, never going to get results, right? There's so many different elements of this, but I believe, and I wanted to do this show because I kept hearing from people, our high tickets very well right now. And I've been hearing from so many people for so long that their high ticket has just like come to a screeching halt. Now, I mean, I just spent 8 hours teaching the live launch evolution. So there's a lot that has changed in selling and marketing high ticket. But I will tell you the number one piece of feedback that I continue to get from people is they keep saying that they're comfortable investing with us for high ticket, with me for high ticket, because I've been so transparent about the market, the challenges, what's working, what's not working, and really openly talking about the landscape, from just kind of an objective perspective that they feel like they can't get other places, and it's instilled trust in people. And so what that's telling me is the more that we give context and the more that we give clarity, whether it's we're getting it for ourselves when we're setting goals. If I say, okay, I want to get my podcast to stay in the number one or the top 10 block for entrepreneur podcasts, knowing what that takes, right? From a marketing standpoint, from an advertising standpoint, from a growth standpoint, from a list building standpoint, followership online. Whether it's you setting a goal for yourself or you working with interviewing, new team members, coaching new team members, really talking about what it's going to take to be successful in your team, or whether it is your clients that are signing up to work with you. I think the more that we move into contextualizing not just outcomes, but investment required to achieve outcome, we will be able to make more discerning decisions about the goals that we pursue. Number one. Number two, we'll be more prepared for the long haul and all the trials and tribulations and investments and challenges that come with that. And number three, when it comes to team, when it comes to clients, the more that we have that transparency and the more that we think in context, we think in color, we think in nuance, and we share that, it's going to not only create trust with people, but it's going to better prepare them to succeed under our direction. And I think this is a really important pivot point in the market, because I think that when the market is growing and it's fairly easy, you can in many ways kind of like ride the surface of what's going on and still generate a result. Whereas now, like, to do anything and do it well, you have to be like so embedded and so grounded in it, which is why I think really gaining more understanding, embedding more understanding for yourself as you're setting goals of what it's going to take, investment, time, etc. And then doing the same for team and clients is going to be a total game changer. And this is what the next evolution of leadership is going to look like. It's going to be maturity. It's going to be honesty. It's going to be clarity. It's going to be contextualizing things. And I think people are craving that big time. I'm surprised to hear from people over and over again when they join our high ticket programs that was something that really stood out to them so much, because I've always been that way. But I think that it's become more obvious now because other people have not necessarily shown up in that way, right? So I want to encourage you to do that. And I also want to encourage you to make sure that you're finding the pockets and the spaces for yourself where you are getting that feedback without agenda. If someone's already your coach, you can get that feedback without agenda as long as that person has accomplished what you want to. And I find that so many times people are investing with coaches or companies where the person's like a half a step ahead of them. So no, they're not going to be able to give that context. They're not going to be able to give that feedback, etc. Right? So I think this is an invitation to lead at a new level, but I think it's also an invitation to lower your stress, to make the goal setting process far more sustainable and possible, because I think that there's so much absorption, like I said, of information without context and education without nuance that oversimplifies what it takes to accomplish things. That's where a lot of the stress comes from. And I say this to our clients all the time, like, so much of our stress comes from us putting these arbitrary deadlines on goals to achieve something in a certain amount of time that is like not viable because we don't truly understand what it takes. We don't truly understand what it takes. So I think part of that is, initially we're not seeking that. We don't want to hear the pain. We want to hear the pleasure. We don't want to hear all the minutia details. We want to hear give me the big, the big highlights of what it takes. I just want to get there. But I think as you mature as a leader and you're really looking at sustainability, you're looking at profit, you're looking at peace, it's really, really important to pivot your way of thinking into this, but also to pivot your communication and leadership for other people. So find people that you can get advice without agenda. And there's different ways to do that. I mentioned several different ways to do that. Be careful taking cues out of context from people that may have great intentions, but do have an agenda that you're not necessarily aware of. Make sure that as you are looking at the goals that you're setting and the things that you desire to achieve, that you're getting really, really clear on if this, then that. With this decision, with this goal, with this outcome I desire, what is the burden of responsibility and outcome that is going to come with that? Because, it could be a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year process, and you need to know that, right? And, finally, think about how you can elevate your position in the market as a leader in the way that you give more nuance and context to the journey, the process, and what comes with it. They say, and I have had this experience myself, that people don't want to be necessarily a part of the process of success. They want to be a part of the outcome of success. But also, in conjunction with that, my learning is that if we have a better understanding of what the process of success is going to take and we articulate that better, we give people the opportunity to opt out of that earlier on, and it's going to cause less problems down the line. And that's where that's going to help you to attract the right team members and attract the right clients, because they know what they're getting themselves into and everybody is in alignment and in congruence. So I hope this will help you in your goal setting journey. I hope this will help you to elevate your leadership. I hope it will also give you some clarity, where there's some opportunities to really make sure you're digging into what comes with the goals that you're setting, so that you're more likely to set the right goals, follow through on achieving them, and get the exact outcomes that you want. And I can't wait to see you keep building your teams, keep elevating your message and your brand, and get to exactly where you want to be in your business. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Kelly Roach Show. If you enjoyed this episode, do me 2 solids. Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode, and leave us a review so other people can find the life-changing content that we share here. We're on our way to #1, and we need your help getting there. Thanks so much for being a part of the community and for tuning into the show each and every week.